A lot of students tell me that they don't like functions because they find them really abstract. They say that they don't get them because they don't really see why they're needed in real life. Well, it turns out that you probably know a lot more about functions already than you think. A function is just like a rule or process or a machine that will take in an input and will alter it in some way. It will apply some sort of rule to change it in some regard. And then we will get an output from that process or from that machine. So here I just have a black box representing an arbitrary function that's going to do something to an input to give us an output. And in the table here, I have a few examples of functions from real life that you'd be familiar with. So the first one I have here is a vending machine. So a vending machine is just like a function. We have to input an item number or code corresponding to the food or drink that we want to get. So if we want an output of a chocolate bar from the vending machine, we need to look and see what item number corresponds to that chocolate bar to input it into the keypad. So the input is the code we put in and the output is the food or drink corresponding to that code. The second example I have here is the shift button or shift function on a keyboard, on a computer keyboard. So if you have a look on your keyboard for a second, let's say you wanted to type the percentage sign. So you want an output of a percentage sign. Well, when you hold down the shift button, you would have to press where the 5 is on your keyboard in order to get that percentage sign. So the input to the shift function is 5 and the output is the percentage sign. Another example that I use in later videos is of a juicer or blender. So if you want to make an output of orange juice, then your input is going to be a whole orange. And the process is blending or juicing, and that's the function. And I'm sure you could think of a few more examples yourself, where we have processes or machines that take in a particular input and we get an output at the end. I want to use the example of the vending machine as a function to introduce some of the vocabulary we use to describe functions. And the terms I'm going to explain here are domain, codomain, and range of a function. So first of all, what's meant by the domain of a function? Well, the domain is the set of inputs to our function. So what are the inputs to this vending machine? Well, as you could see, I could input any of the numbers from 1 to 16 into my keypad. So that's my domain. It's the set of whole numbers from 1 to 16 inclusive. And the domain is decided on by whoever makes the function. So whoever made this vending machine decided that there was going to be 16 different trays for holding food and drink items, and they also decided that they were going to label them with the numbers 1 to 16. They could have, for example, chosen to label them with letters, so it could have been A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc. So just keep in mind that the domain is set by whoever comes up with the function, whoever makes the function. So what's meant by the codomain then? Well, the codomain is the set of possible outputs. And again, the codomain is decided by whoever makes the function. So whoever made this vending machine might give guidelines as to what kind of food could be sold in that vending machine. So if it was a refrigerated vending machine, then you could sell chilled drinks or sandwiches, etc. But if the vending machine was not refrigerated, you wouldn't be able to sell those kind of goods. So the codomain is really just this kind of overall set of the possible outputs you can have in this function. So maybe whoever made this vending machine could have decided that the codomain is any foods or drinks that can be stored at 3 degrees Celsius, because maybe that's the temperature that this vending machine is kept at. That doesn't mean that I can get all of these outputs from my function. So it doesn't mean that I could get any food or drink in the world that can be stored at 3 degrees Celsius from this vending machine. Obviously, it depends on how it's stocked and what input values I'm putting in. So that's why codomain is different from the range. The range is the set of actual outputs I'm getting from my vending machine. So in this case, the set of actual outputs, if my domain is the numbers 1 through 16, is all of these food and drink items that you can see in my vending machine. So the codomain is just the kind of overall set that my outputs belong to, but the range is the actual outputs that I get from my function. So a lot of people mix up the two of those, so keep that difference in your head.